now back to TSPN News with Tom Slavik. Comprehensive news.
Hi everyone, and welcome back. Richard, we were on the budget. We were talking about the budget. Now, is this the what's going to be finalized, and is that?
Yeah, this will be our final budget, and
Okay.
as I said, $336,000 for road fund, but $400,000 is anticipated to be needed for that next year.
Okay.
You know, it's pretty tough with the roads right now because the whole state, because of and I tried to explain this to Butch Cranford one day and pretty much got an earful of him about how dumb I was, but I don't think he understands there is a pie chart. And in that pie chart, when the price of gas comes down, your gas tax goes down,
Right.
but it hits municipalities like counties and cities harder because there's a slot there that is subject to, as the price of gas comes down, that grows, and our pie share shrinks. So it's really a digressive system on counties and cities because the amount of repayment to the state, because they have made a bond payment, they've taken it and codified it in law, so that portion of bond payment actually goes up and our portion shrinks as the price of gas comes down.
It's
hard to understand.
That's hard to follow.
Yeah, hard to understand even for Butch. So,
Okay. All right.
Okay. Anyway, there's going to be no layoffs, no realignments, but you know what? Next year, our revenue might creep up marginally, but we're looking at even a deficit right now projected for next year with the expenses that we have and with the revenue. We're projecting our property taxes to go up by 2% next year. Even with those kind of increases, we're still looking at a deficit situation next year. Those one-time monies I talked about are going to the county councils to pay for charges that he has, Airport Land Use Commission, and Public Works Department. So that's where those one-times are going to. We'd like to carve out some of that money and go to general services for at least some of the projects that John Hopkins talked about a couple weeks ago that need to be done. One is at our County Administration Center, where we have some issues with humidification in one of the areas, and there needs to be some work done there with ducting. So we'll look at that. There's a lot of charts in our packet that shows where our salaries and benefits going. Right now, our percentage, the amount of general fund expenditure on salary and benefits are about $25.57 million. That's a lot when you take that our general fund expenditures are $36.9 million. But you look at government and government in general, what drives your costs are salaries and benefits.
That's probably true of every business as well.
I think more so in government because we're tied to, especially small businesses have a little bit of leeway, but even they're being hit by minimum wage now. Governments are tied because of collective bargaining to these agreements with unions, and I'm not saying they're bad, I'm just saying that's the way it is. And when you have any unions involved, and we have about 7 with the county.
Well, that's how it is with the public sector. The state acts like a union to put guidelines down for small businesses, private businesses as well.
Right. But if anybody wants to get a hold of this packet, there's a lot of good, the charts in here really have good numbers to them.
Yeah,
and they talk about salaries and benefit. They talk about realignment funds that we're getting. And the realignment funds are, we're still getting them for social services, mental health, and our health department. But even those are not as stable as they once were. The cost increases that we'll have this next year, the budget goes through that, $500,000 to contingency, $336,000, as I said, to public work. We have those A87 charges that have to be paid for. Those go back to your employee costs and paying for the benefit charges as well as your PERS costs. Those A87 charges are $280,000. The PERS costs to the county are over $200,000, slightly over $200,000. Those keep going up every year. Our general fund contributions to insurance are $200,000. So a lot of costs that are ongoing, and they will not go away. PERS, I can see them getting worse, not better in the future. We're already on a smoothing program now where we're paying over $200,000 a year in PERS, a lot more than we've ever paid in the past, because PERS says you county and you cities have not paid enough in the PERS, so we have to make us whole. They don't pick up the mirror and look at themselves and say, we haven't done a very good job at managing our own situation. We haven't made very good investments.
They got a sweet deal there.
That's right.
You know, there's no down, only up or level, right?
They have a very sweet deal, and I don't want to keep going on the budget, but this will be a healthy discussion. I told you 15 minutes. It'll probably go a good half hour to 45 minutes. There's a lot of things that are infuriating about the budget, and one part of that is PERS, because PERS has done a downright poor job of managing their own affairs. They've got people within their agency that have absconded with money and are being prosecuted for it. But they've done a really poor job of managing their own property that they've invested in and taken significant losses on it. And all that goes back where counties and cities have to pay more because of the job that our esteemed officers at PERS have done.
Do the cities and counties have input into how PERS is run, or how in that sort of a way?
I'll say we have a little bit of input, but most of the people that sit on the PERS board are elected because they were put up by a union, and the union put the money behind them. The union got them on PERS, on the PERS board. I can tell you that's not healthy either, because you need a mix of people on there. You need people. We talked about this at our county meetings, that you need somebody with county background experience to give our story. You need somebody with private sector experience, give their story. Even though private sector is not affected by PERS, they are affected when it comes down to the state having to deal with these massive losses that PERS has recognized the last couple of years.
Right.
Now, the Rapp Collins estate, you have the city of Sutter Creek coming in and asking for those items that were not sold via auction or website. The city of Sutter Creek wants those items, and they'd like the county to donate those items because, as they state, this came from the estate of Alethea Collins, and her parents, Frederick and Columbia Rabb, were prominent residents and citizens in the city of Sutter Creek. So I think there might be some board members sympathetic to that. It makes sense, and what they want to do with the items is put them in the newly started Sutter Creek History Museum that they have going.
Okay.
We have a discussion on new animal control signage, and I don't know if we can get in on that, but anyway.
We'll see some of it.
Yeah, this is a portrait of what the sign is supposed to look like, and we're being asked to comment because this sign is a little bit different in the past. It's going to be paid for with private dollars, but it still is a county sign. It's for, basically it's promoting adoption. And right now a lot of the, I'm going to switch this real fast, Tommy, but there's another one. That shows proximity to the
relative size as well, huh?
Yeah, that shows the proximity to the Lions Club sign that's there.
Oh, okay.
So about the location where they want to put that. And now I'll drop this, but the reason this is important is because most of our adoptions, the vast majority, percentage-wise, come out of the feed barn, especially for kittens. We want to make it so that people realize, look, the shelter is a good place to go for adoption too. So what our Kelly, our manager, Kelly Reason from our Animal Control Department, is trying to make it so that people feel comfortable coming up to the Animal Control Department and looking at animals, trying to decide if they want to adopt, and adopting right from the shelter. Not to say anything against the feed barn, but they're going to keep adopting a lot of animals. We want to increase our numbers for adoption. And by the way, thank you to John and Susan Manning for all the work they do with adoption there, and the whole APAL group. So.
Right, and it's a great place. You can go in. I mean, it's very friendly, clean, very efficiently run.
But it's not. It is a business though, and it feels more business-like than, it feels more mechanical than going into the feed barn, where it's a little cozier environment. So we're trying to make it so it's a better place for people to go and adopt. So if the more people adopt, the less money it costs the taxpayers to take care of all those animals, and the more animals
we do a great job of adopting, and great.
Yeah, we have opposition requested on budget trailer bill 825. I talked to, we had a conference call with CSAC this morning. They're working on this issue too. But this is LAFCO, comes out of our state, LAFCO, that they're concerned that what this bill would do is actually give the State Water Resources Control Board the authority to mandate that districts be consolidated. And
Okay.
LAFCOs are appropriately concerned about
Okay,
that.
we have 1 minute. I'm gonna give you all the time, Richard. It's actually a
Okay.
little less than one, but
All right.
that seems like an interesting
This
topic here.
comes from the El Dorado County Treasurer Tax Collector, and they are asking for our support on placing a satellite campus for University of California, Davis in El Dorado County. They feel that there's an appropriate nexus there with Amador right next door, Calaveras right next door, that there could be multi-uses here that would be beneficial for our county. As they state, El Dorado County alone already has a USDA Forest Service Institute of Genetics, which is part of a larger station. So they feel that with all of that, it would be appropriate to have a university. And you know what better university to have than my alma mater to
There you go. And we've got to go. Thanks for watching. Stay with us. There's more coming up on TSPN. Thanks again, Richard.
Okay.